get comfortable. This might be the longest one we've had.
The goal.
This is the price you pay for having one of the shortest days of the year.
Exactly.
Last time.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Crawford County Commissioners Work Session for September 17th. We'll start with juvenile probation.
Requesting approval for the maintenance and supply agreement effective September 9th, 2025 with Hagen Business Machines. Rate per page increase from 0.0078 to 0.0082. Supplies include the agreement for the drum developer and toner. This is a budget item.
Okay, any questions for Holly?
No.
Thank you. IT.
I'd like to ratify the purchase of 4 boxes of Cat 6 network cable for DC, Meadville DC office move to the courthouse from Rexel USA Inc. for $1,410.48. This is not a budget item.
Any questions for Tim?
Nope.
Thank you, Tim. Terry.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm here for Hagen Toshiba copier machine, 45288, 5700, no cost to the county automation fund.
Yeah, Terry did one other comparative and got a price of $7,700. So you know you got 2 prices. So, thank you. Any questions for Emmy?
Nope.
Okay, the sheriff.
Morning, Commissioner.
Morning, Dave.
I'm requesting to ratify the travel request for Kendra and Chris to attend a 3-day PA Sheriff Civil Process Training in Harrisburg in October. It's only expenses we really have is the hotel rooms.
Okay, any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave. Public safety, Greg.
Good morning.
Morning, Greg.
Asking to approve payment of $570 to Mobilecom for coordination and processing fees involved in moving the Government West and Police West frequencies to the Greaser Road Tower site. That's just the technical license fees only, it's not the actual physical road.
Okay.
And asking approved payment of $545 to APCO for a tuition of a newly selected shift leader to participate in a comm center supervisor virtual training program.
Okay.
And the approved quota $860 submitted by Andy Flooring to clean the carpeted surfaces in the public safety building. That'll be the first time in 8 years.
It needs it.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Greg? Thank you. Domestic relations.
Good morning.
Morning.
Requesting approval of the following 5-year contracts to run concurrent with my cooperative agreement under the Title 40 of the Social Security Act. Attorney Button has already reviewed the contracts. There's a sheriff contract, a 40 attorney and his backup contract, North Star rental, building lease, and core security contract.
Any questions for Carla? Okay, thank you. Correctional facility.
Morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Morning.
Today, looking to ratify the purchase of 30 new mattresses. Cost per mattress is $88.58 for each. Total cost for 30 mattresses is $2,657.40. Purchase to be made through the commissary fund. This is not a budget item. Number 2, approved permission to pay $520 to Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, Division of Radiation Control for an application for renewal of certificate of registration for radiation producing machine. This is a budget item. Third, to ratify the purchase of replacement 22-inch monitor from Global Correction System. Replacement was needed for the door control board located in booking. Cost of the new monitor / door control board is $718. This is not a budgeted item.
Ben, is that a specialty monitor only specific to global corrections?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And last, to ratify the payment of 3 invoices for out-of-county housing of a juvenile defendant charged as an adult. The juvenile defendant was housed in George Junior Republic. The total of all 3 invoices is $54,075.60. This is not a budgeted item.
Any questions for Ben?
No.
All right, thank you, Ben. County maintenance.
Good morning.
Morning, Jen.
I'd like to ratify approval of the invoices from the courthouse remodeling project for quarter number 3 in the amount of $1,420.08.
Okay.
Next, ratify approval of an invoice from Ori Michael Company LLC for a condensate pump and tank for the courthouse for $2,551.36.
Okay.
Next, approve a Mark Environmental, and this is to remove tile from the IT office in the courthouse for $3,895.
Okay.
Next, approval of Cintas rental service agreement for the courthouse and judicial center.
Okay.
Next, I'd like to ratify approval of an invoice from Scobell Company Incorporated, and this is to replace a condensation trap on the boiler at the judicial center for $1,044.70.
Okay.
Next, ratify approval to pay an invoice from CPS Construction Group, and this is for parking deck rehab project for $17,000.
Okay.
Next, approval to pay Brian J. Noah, project manager, for professional services from 7/1 of 25 to 9/9 of 25 for $900.
Okay.
Next, ratify approval to pay Suitco Corporation for tour and shipping at the fairgrounds for $14,813.89.
Okay.
Next, approval to pay Shields Asphalt Paving Incorporated, and this is for blacktopping at the fairgrounds for $14,365, and this will be paid for with a safety grant.
Okay.
And last, ratify approval to pay an invoice from A.W. Farrell and Son to repair gutters on the dairy complex at the fairgrounds for $925.50.
And before, Stephanie, before we send that through, before Mark sends it through, we did have one employee who's getting their car detailed. I want to make sure we got that rectified before that payment for that 17,000, Stephanie, just so you know. So that was the one that we talked at the company the first day we had an issue, so I want to make sure it's handled before that process
I
goes
agree,
through.
yeah.
If that's okay with you guys. So, all right,
Good.
thank you. Human Services?
Requesting approval of the fiscal year 25-26 contract for the VHC Advanced Solutions. This is Mercer County's contract with Crawford to reimburse for our boundary scanner position and person centered program. The contract is maxed at $216,384, which is the same as our fiscal year 24-25 amendment one. Boundary spanner assists in the coordination of services between behavioral health systems and criminal justice. This is typically state prisons, but we recently expanded to the county jail. Person-centered program is for eligible individuals have mental health diagnoses or are involved in some capacity with the criminal justice system. It helps sometimes with things like housing and paying back bills so that they're able to maintain in the community after being released. Requesting approval of the MATP initial allocation for fiscal year 25-26, which is $864,396. I don't know why that says. No, this is $15,000 lower than the $879,630 that we received in the 24-25 year. We utilize this funding to pay for Meadville Medical Center for the MATP services. There's no county match for this funding. Requesting approval, signature of the needs-based plan and budget amendment certification statement for county children and youth social service programs for fiscal year 24-25. This document shows receipts and expenditures that have been made in accordance with our needs-based budget plan that was already approved. This allows expenditures, it shows that expenditures are allowable under the Title 55 PA code for fiscal year 24-25.
Okay.
Requesting ratification for the subscription for the NCA Track. NCA Track is a database system used by our Children's Interview Center. This database captures all the client information for the children that are interviewed at our CIC. This is a budgeted item that is paid for by the grant that's received by the CIC. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 25-26 CYS contract for Adelphi Village. These are the same services that we contracted for in our fiscal year 24-25. As noted over the last few years, this provider will not accept a contract that doesn't match the rates that they set, and they're enforcing this statewide. Therefore, the rates listed on this contract are rates that they set on March 31st, 2025, with increases from 3% to 17% from fiscal year 24-25. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 25-26 contract for youth advocate programs. These are the same services that we contracted for in fiscal year 24-25. All the rates remain the same except for respite, which has increased from $31.80 an hour to $34.36 an hour to match what ODP has set for as of July 1st of 2024. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 25-26 professional contract for Meadville Medical Center, MATP. Until this year, this was funded through HAB, HSDF, and MATP grant recipients received a grant-specific contract for each program. But starting this year, we are switching so the contracts to one standard professional contract per provider in order to maintain consistency and ensure that all required regulations are being met. This is the same program that the provider received funding for last year. The funding decreased $15,234. It is based upon the MATP initial allocation that I presented previously. Requesting approval for fiscal year 25-26 mental health and intellectual disabilities contract with Community Rising Therapy. We're contracting for the same services as last year. The cost of the county for each service remains the same as previous fiscal year. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 25-26 mental health ID contract with Next Steps Therapy, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25. Cost to the county remains the same as previous year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Northwest Tri-County IU5, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25. Cost to the county remains the same as previous year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 mental health and ID contract with PA Connecting Communities, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county for each service remaining the same as previous year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 mental health ID contract with Positive Steps Therapy. We are contracting the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25. Cost of the county would remain the same as previous fiscal year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with United Community Independence Programs, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25. Cost of the county would remain the same as our previous year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Amanda Gadsby. We are contracting for the same services and rates as our fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. Requesting approval for fiscal year 25-26 contract with Ashley Mars. We are contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. Requesting approval for fiscal year 25-26 contract with Bliss Nutritional Services, contracting for same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. Requesting approval for fiscal year 25-26 contract with Bright Beginnings Therapy Services, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Kara Smith, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Sand Speech Therapy, contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25. Cost to the county for each service remains the same as previous year. Requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Shannon Criado. We are contracting for the same services and rates as fiscal year 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same. And finally, requesting approval of fiscal year 25-26 contract with Therapy House. We are contracting for the same services and rates as 24-25, with the cost of the county remaining the same.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Finance.
Good morning.
Occupational.
For your approval, I have the following invoices. The first is to Active Aging. It's invoice number CCC 2025. It's their 2025 budgeted allocation in the amount of $8,000. The second is to the Crawford County CYS. It's their 2024-25 quarter four match in the amount of $709,948.52. The third is to Spets Energy Services. It's invoice number 098725. It's their quarterly energy procurement bill in the amount of $1,714. And finally, Mayor Dussel, invoice number 1106084-F. It's the 2024 final progress billing in the amount of $13,161.76.
Okay.
And then for your ratification, I have a master service agreement from BillTrack's Best Digital Solutions. This is coordinated through Erie Bank so that the county can start accepting credit card payments.
Where are we going to start those at again? Is what departments?
They will start in planning and also in assessment to begin with. And I think we're talking rollout date October 1st-ish.
Okay, any questions for Stephanie?
No.
At this time, it would make sense for anybody to stretch. If they want to
And
stretch.
grab a cup of coffee, go to the restroom,
Not just because we put ours as letters.
sing the national anthem,
Human
whatever they want to do.
services.
For those that are
So-
presenting after Zach, I
Did you
think
bring a lunch?
10:30 might be time. Come back. All right, Zach, let's go.
All right, the first 5 items are all home repair related. The first is a request of payment for Go Heating and Cooling in the amount of $1,600 for training wages. The second is a request payment Ferguson Construction Company, the amount of $720 for their training wages. The third is a request for MG Electrical Services to reimburse their training wages totaling $1,350. And the fourth is for requesting a payment of an invoice to Fuller Building Group totaling $23,187.53. This is completion of rehab work on homeowner number 29's house. We are also requesting approval of a payment to Ron Verka Home Inspections in the amount of $400 for completion on an inspection in homeowner number 38's house.
Okay.
The next item, we're asking for approval of a payment to the Meadville Tribune in the amount of $1,204.75. This is paid for out of the CDBG programs, CDBG funding. It's for this fiscal year 2021 CDBG Meadville Water Street stormwater project, invitation for bid, and the 2021 CDBG Linesville Waterline Project ERR publications. We're asking approval for a check reimbursement or check request for the Foundation for Sustainable Forests to reimburse them $21,400 for the purchase of land in Sparta and Bloomfield Townships. This is an Act 13 Environmental Initiatives Fund grant award and would reimburse them that allocation amount. We're also asking for approval to pay an invoice to the city of Titusville in the amount of $11,411.72 to reimburse them code enforcement wages. This is paid for out of their CDBG funds out of fiscal year 2021 and 2022 as outlined in the packet. We're also asking for approval to pay an invoice to Moody and Associates, reimbursing them $12,359.81 for professional services for the Cambridge Springs Lake demolition project. This is paid for out of the county's Act 137 Affordable Housing Fund program. Item J, we're asking for approval to pay. We're asking approval for a pay application number 1 from O Cross Paving LLC in the amount of $130,000 for the Ed Meyer Complex project. This is paid for out of the city of Titusville's fiscal year 2023 CDBG funds. The next 2 items are mini grant requests. The first is to request payment to Food for Thought program, reimbursing them $2,335 for purchase of food supplies. And the second is approval for payment to Crawford Area Transportation Authority, CATA, for $15,000 for the CATA Go program in Cambridge Springs. The next 4 items are regarding intergovernmental cooperation agreements with local municipalities regarding SAUDO administration at the local level. It's come to the county's attention that sometimes in our systems there are holes in which things fall through. Local governments are asking the county to help prevent the split of properties in our register and recorder and assessment office that don't go through the subdivision process at the local level. So this would be an agreement that has already been reviewed and drafted by the solicitor for Crawford County partnering with the Borough of Conneaut Lake, Cussalago Township, Salisbury Township, and Union Township. Every municipality that has their own subdivision land development ordinance has provided a copy of this. These 4 so far are the only ones that have passed it and are asking us to sign. The next 3 items are associated with the county SAUDO. We're requesting approval for a contract with Civic Vanguard to provide GIS-related professional services to support the website deployment for the county SAUDO. The contract is a not-to-exceed figure of $8,000. We're also requesting approval of a contract with McDonald, Illig, Jones, and Britton to provide legal services for the administration of the county SAUDO. This approval is contingent upon review and recommendation of action by the solicitor on the contract, and the contract terminates December of 2026. The next one is requesting approval of a contract with Michael Baker International to provide planning and engineering services for the administration of the county SAUDO. Again, this is approved. The approval would be contingent upon review and recommendation of action by the solicitor. The contract would terminate in December of 2026. One of those two contracts has been sent on to Keith. The other one we are waiting to get from the law firm. The next item T, we're requesting for a contract to approve a contract with Active Aging of Crawford County to reserve a meeting space in their Meadville location for the county's peer-to-peer project stakeholder meeting. It is budgeted as match to the peer-to-peer project. And I will get for the regular meeting the exact amount of what that contract is. It should have been on there. The next few are all ratifications. We're asking to ratify payment of an invoice to Sturdy Boots in the amount of $6,661.07 for completed housing rehab work on homeowner number 35's property. That's being run the whole home repair program. We're also asking to ratify approval of a payment to Pollard Land Services in the amount of $17,581.80 for completed work on the Conneautville Stormwater Project. This is paid for out of the county's 2023 CDBG program. We're asking approval for a travel request to send me to the PA American Planning Association Conference and the County Planning Directors Association of Pennsylvania meeting in Harrisburg in October between the 11th and the 15th. We're seeking ratification for approval of a contract between Crawford County and Urget Building and homeowner number 23 for home repairs through the whole home repair program. We're asking for approval of a contract, ratification of approval of a contract between Crawford County Fuller Building Group and homeowner number 22 for home repairs through the whole home repair program. And finally, we're asking to ratify approval of a cooperation agreement between Crawford County and Allegheny College for completion, management, and reporting of activities funded under that ARC grant received for the local industry fundamental training program.
You don't have any other questions, do you? Any questions?
Well, I was thinking.
All right. Brittany's not much better, but HR, go ahead.
Requesting to ratify the payment for the October health insurance premium for $354,328.38. There were adjustments for August in the amount of negative $4,851.84.
Okay.
Next is to approve the one-year service agreement with Peg and Business Machines for the HR copying machine.
Okay.
The next one's to ratify 3 payments to Crown Benefits Administration for runoff health insurance. The first one in the amount of $578.74. The second in the amount of $13,379.16, and the third in the amount of $4,788.79.
Okay.
Under Commissioners, request to approve the one-year service agreement with Peg and Business Machines for the print room folding machine. Second is to approve the creation of a full-time chief assessor trainee position.
You want to explain that to us briefly?
Yeah, so obviously Joe Galbo, the current chief assessor, is retiring at the beginning of the year. So we are hiring Janet Corson into a trainee position to work alongside him until his actual retirement date at the beginning of January. So that's why we're creating a position.
Congratulations to Joe. Congratulations to Janet.
Yeah, Janet will do a fine job for us.
Requesting approval for the adoption of the resolution to establish a volunteer service tax credit program. And the next are notifications. So I'm going to kind of summarize these. The first one is a notification from Optimum EPC Contracting regarding their intent to apply to PADEP for Chapter 102 permitting for a solar energy farm, and these activities are to take place in Bloomfield Township. The next is a notification from Adam Hamilton regarding their intent to apply to PADEP for an NPDES permit. These activities will take place in Rockland Township. The next is a notification from AG Aegis Company on behalf of Wally Lumber Company, Inc. regarding their intent to apply to PADEP for renewal of their air quality operating permit. This will take place in Oil Creek Township. The next is a notification from Pencor Consulting on behalf of Crawford Pike North 1, 2, 3, and 4 regarding their intent to apply to PADEP for Chapter 102 permitting. This will take place in Union Township. A notification from National Fuel Gas Distribution Corp. Regarding their intent to apply to PADEP for Chapter 102 permitting for their Meadville Loop 3 pipeline project. Activities to take place in Vernon, Union, and Westmead Townships. And the last one is a notification from Spring Hill Estates MHP for their intent to renew their NPDES permit with the PADEP for the wastewater plant located in West Springfield Township.
I'd like to bring attention back to 13C. Commissioner Seeley, you want to just give a brief rundown?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
So this is a resolution for a tax credit program that we've been talking about now for, well, the better part of a couple of years. And through the diligent work of our solicitor and in conversations with volunteer response agencies around the county, what we're proposing is that for volunteer EMS and fire responders around Crawford County, that they meet certain qualification requirements, certain call thresholds and that sort of thing. And we can discuss this at potentially more detail a little later on. That they would receive up to 100% or $500 of their county tax liability as a refund, whichever is less. So we know it's not the silver bullet that will get us out of the EMS and volunteer fire response crisis that the whole Commonwealth is suffering, but we think that it's a good step forward to retain and potentially recruit. And heck, if you know you might get that $500 incentive, you might just roll out of bed one more time at 3 in the morning.
I think the good part behind that is a lot of municipalities have already agreed to do the same thing the county's doing.
Yes.
So that's very helpful. And, we do have at least one school district who really wants to talk to us about what maybe they could possibly do. So the benefits of maybe getting some new people on board and maybe some of the older guys who aren't quite so active anymore, maybe they'll come back around.
Yeah, and this is not a program that's new to county level government. There are other counties who have different variations of this. It was important for me to include the actual operation of running calls and the calculated amount. So although not a county function, public safety is a lower level municipal function. I do want to give credit to Westmead and Vernon for being the first municipality who provided 100% tax credit to their volunteer fire and EMS providers. Albeit it did not cost a lot of money for Vernon. It was a catalyst to get us processed through. And I do think, from what Commissioner Shells told me, other municipalities are just waiting for us to pass something so they might pass something similarly.
We were approached the other night there. They would like to see this in writing. There's at least 5 other municipalities who said, we'll do it. Whatever counties don't, we'll do.
But what I look at the benefit of is the cost of paying providers in our townships would be enormous. I myself live in Westmead as well as Stephanie, and that alone would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to municipalities who frankly would have to raise taxes to pay for it. So anywhere you live, the smaller you are, the more burden on a taxpayer it would be because of the area you'd have to cover. So this is just one, like Chris said, a Band-Aid approach to what we can do, but it just might
every little bit help.
Might lure somebody back into
if you have 3 taxing bodies considering the same sort of incentive, that could be a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
And we would note that this would be effective for next year.
Next year.
Right.
But this will give us ample time to do a rollout and begin discussing the details of this program, the reporting requirements with the various agencies around the county. It will be the responsibility of the chiefs to maintain the records that we would be accepting. But I think, if I recall right, it was 96 hours of volunteer service. 50% of that has to be on call now, so you got to respond 48 hours for it within a calendar year.
And subject to audit, just so you know, because as a county function, anything, it could be elected auditors, it could be an external audit. Those things are all things that we could review. So
I'd like to thank Commissioner Seeley for putting a lot of time and effort into that, because the last thing we want, Eric and I are very heavily involved in the emergency services in the county. We didn't want anybody come back to us and say you're playing favorites by making these rules and only these people can. So Chris kind of took the bull by the horns, and he talked to us also, but Chris is not involved in emergency services. So he was kind of the one that came up with how we were going to go about this. So we're very thankful for that. Nobody can point their finger at Eric and I and say we're
disappointed with me.
Yeah.
I cause more emergencies than I respond to.
Okay, thank you. The upcoming events is the next full session, September 24th. I plan to be here for a while. Next October 8th will be the work session. Any public comment? Commissioner comments, Commissioner Seeley.
Nothing today. I think the summation of the resolution would have been what I would have offered.
Any election information for ballot time for people? I know it's for you. When is the last time you registered for mail ballot?
Not off the top of my head, I will have that information prepared for our meeting.
Thank you. Somebody asked me.
Yeah, the proofing of the ballots are underway, and we anticipate we'll be able to get things moving pretty quickly.
Thank you. Commissioner Shell?
Not anything big, but, you got 1 week of really nice weather here, folks, and the leaves are changing, so go for a ride in the woods or something.
That being said, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brittany, I do have a question on one of the notifications. It's not complicated.
Oh, God.